Joining me on the line today is the federal leader of the opposition, Tony Abbott. Mr. Abbott, thank you so much for your time today.
Victor, it's good to be in Tamworth.
Firstly, Mr. Abbott, what brings you to the region?
Well, this is a campaigning trip. I'm here to support Barnaby Joyce and to let the people of New England know that if they want to change the government, they've got to vote for the coalition candidate, and the only person running in New England who wants to change the government, who is unimpressed with Prime Minister Julia Gillard, is in fact Barnaby Joyce.
Mr. Abbott, you spoke there about the outcomes of the election for the New England region. Will a coalition government, or can a coalition government, guarantee the same level of funding to the New England electorate regardless of the elected member?
Well, look, I think the best thing that any government can do for the people of New England is produce a strong economy, because if we have a strong and prosperous economy, we'll have a safe and secure Australia. And if we want to give hope, reward and opportunity to the Australian people, that's what we need. But certainly if Barnaby Joyce is elected as the local member, he will be a very, very strong voice for the people of New England. And if there is a change of government, Barnaby Joyce will obviously be a senior minister in that new government.
Mr. Abbott, again, looking beyond the election, there are contracts in place for the NBN rollout for 2013 and beyond. Will a coalition government honour these contracts?
Well, the interesting thing about the NBN is that the rollout has been so embarrassingly slow. It really has been embarrassingly, humiliatingly slow. Very few places have actually got the NBN, and very few people who've got the NBN actually have live connections. Now, what the coalition is promising is that every Australian premises will have download speeds of 25 megabits per second. That's 5 times the average maximum by the end of 2016. So within 3 years, people will have 5 times the current average maximum under the coalition's version of an NBN, and we can do it for $60 billion less than the government.
Mr. Abbott, there are parts of Tamworth at the moment that have been lucky enough to become connected to the NBN, and also in Armidale and a couple of surrounding regions. Under the coalition plan, the other parts of Tamworth and again the surrounding regions that haven't yet signed up or haven't yet been connected would drop back to the 25 megabytes per second. The contracts in place would not be honoured then under a coalition government? Look,
if a contract is in place, obviously ordinary commercial arrangements would apply, and if a place already has fibre, obviously it would continue to have fibre. But the point I make is that every household, including all of those households in smaller towns like Guyra and Walker that will never get the NBN under Labor's plans, every household under us will get much faster download speeds, much more quickly and much more affordably. The other point is that under our system, we will get much better mobile phone coverage, whereas Labor's NBN will do nothing for the dodgy mobile phone coverage which most parts of New England currently have.
Mr. Abbott, I'd like to ask you about another major issue facing the region, and it's that of CSG. What is the coalition's stance on CSG mining, and will a coalition government give landholders the powers and support required to refuse CSG mining expansion on their land if they choose?
Well, we are not opposed to CSG extraction. We think it's important to maximise our economic opportunities, but obviously it's got to be done in ways which are consistent with protecting prime agricultural land and safeguarding the water table. Now, the short answer to your question is we don't think that mining companies should go onto land against the wishes of the landholder. Now, in the end, this is more a state than a federal matter, but it is our position that mining companies should not be able to just go onto people's land willy-nilly. They should have the consent of the landholder, and I'm pleased to say that the good companies like Santos don't do coal seam gas extraction where the landholder isn't happy. They don't go onto people's land unless the landholder is consenting.
Mr. Abbott, I'd like to ask you about one of the more colourful characters of the current political climate. Yesterday, Clive Palmer met with Tony Windsor in town and spoke to the media about his plans for the United Australia Party. What impact, if any, do you believe Clive Palmer and his proposed UAP could play in dividing votes, not only here in the New England, but also in context of the wider election?
Well, I think the voters of New England are pretty shrewd, and I think they understand that if you want to change the government, the only way to do so is to vote for the Liberal National Party. If you vote for independents, if you vote for minor parties, if you vote for celebrities, you won't change the government. If you want to change the government, if you want to get a government that respects the farmers of Australia, you've got to vote for the Liberal National Party. Now, it's very interesting, Victor. At the moment, not a single member of the Gillard Cabinet lives outside a metropolitan area. 8 out of 20 members of the Coalition Shadow Cabinet live outside metropolitan areas. So if there is a change of government, you won't just have a government that is making decisions for rural and regional Australia. You'll have rural and regional Australia making the decisions for the whole of our country.
That's a very good point you make there, Mr. Abbott. One final question for you. Will the New England be seeing you again before the election date?
Oh, look, I think the short answer is yes. I'm very pleased to have Barnaby as our candidate. Barnaby, he grew up in this area. He went to university in this area. He worked in this area. His parents live in this area. This is his home, and he's going to make a terrific member for New England should he win the election.
Mr. Abbott, thank you so much for your time today. I very much appreciate it, and thank you for coming out to the New England.
Thanks, Victor.